Cliffieland! This is week in country number 53 on our second attempt of cooking the food of every country in the world, and tonight we're up to the nation of El Salvador. El Salvador is a small, densely populated country located in Central America, bordered by Guatemala and Honduras and kind of close to Nicaragua. It has a wonderful, delicious cuisine which is influenced largely by the indigenous population with some influence from the Spanish. If you know anything about its food, you probably know what dishes we're going to be cooking tonight. So let's get right to that. Tonight we'll be making Pupusas Revueltas, which is a Salvadoran stuffed masa flatbread, and that's going to be stuffed with a meat filling and a bean and cheese filling, although there are a variety of other fillings that one can make with this. We'll be serving that with Curtido, which is like a Salvadoran cabbage slaw, and topping that with Salsa Roja, which is a red tomato-based sauce. Now before we go any further, we have to get into what happened last time when we tried this. Okay, here goes. 4 years ago on the Global Cooking Challenge, I was challenged with a variety of things, starting with being very sick. I made the dishes which I thought came out rather well, even though I didn't get the Salsa Roja done until the day after I blogged. However, shortly after I published, I discovered that my blog got really popular, not for the right reasons. Upon reflection, I see that a whole lot of cluelessness, stupidity, and other problems on my part helped get a lot of people very upset. And that was assisted by a whole lot of people's other misapprehensions and stuff. Let's just say I meant no ill will, I don't now, I don't pretend to be the grand expert in Salvadoran cooking, I'm just doing my best. And I hope what you see tonight won't piss you off. So first let's see what goes into those dishes. First, for our curtido or Salvadoran pickled cabbage slaw, we'll need 1 small green cabbage cored and sliced thinly, 1/2 of a red onion sliced thinly, 2 carrots grated, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of red chili flakes, 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. And then, for the Salsa Roja or Salvadoran red sauce, we'll need 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/4 cup chopped onion, 1 clove of chopped garlic, 1 chopped jalapeno pepper, 2 cups of peeled, seeded, and chopped tomatoes, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, salt and pepper to taste, and optionally 1/4 cup of chopped cilantro. And finally, for the Pupusas Revueltas or Salvadoran stuffed masa flatbread, we'll need, for the pupusas, 2 cups of instant corn masa flour, or masa instantánea de maíz, between 1 3/4 and 2 1/4 cups of warm water heated to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 1 teaspoon of salt, and vegetable oil for cooking. Then for the meat mixture, we'll need a pound of pork shoulder cut into small pieces, 4 to 6 small tomatoes peeled, seeded, and chopped, 1/2 of an onion cut into chunks, 1/2 of a bell pepper cut into chunks, 5 cloves of garlic, salt to taste, and about a teaspoon of vegetable oil for cooking. And finally, for the bean mixture, either a 15-ounce can of black beans or 8 ounces of dried black beans pre-cooked, 1/2 an onion diced finely, 4 ounces of grated cheese, we're using Monterey Jack here, and vegetable oil for cooking. Okay, a couple notes about the cooking. First, the curtido was made 2 to 3 days before cooking, so it had a good time to pickle. As for the rest, as I said, I'm not the expert, and oh boy, it's my impression that to get all of this right, you'll need a lot of time and experience trying and failing. Mine never came out looking quite the way they should. I'm sure there are many other places on the internet where you can find it going exactly the way it should. That being said, let's see how it went. Go! First, into a large bowl, place the cabbage, the sliced red onion, and grated carrots. In a small bowl, mix the white wine vinegar with olive oil, red pepper flakes, and oregano. Add about 2 tablespoons of water, salt, and pepper, and mix well. Pour over the cabbage mixture, toss thoroughly. Cover and refrigerate for between 1 hour to 3 days. Heat the oil in a saucepan over medium heat. Add the onion, garlic, and jalapeno. Sauté for 2 to 3 minutes until the onions are translucent. Stir in the tomatoes and oregano, and let simmer for 10 minutes. Remove from the heat and let it cool. Transfer to a blender and puree until smooth, adding water if necessary. Transfer to an airtight container, stir in cilantro, cover and reserve until needed. Prepare the meat filling. Heat the oil in a saucepan over medium heat, add the pork, lightly brown, add tomatoes, onion, bell pepper, garlic, and salt. Reduce the heat and let simmer for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, work on the beans mixture. Drain the beans, heat 1 tablespoon of oil in a skillet, add the beans and the onions. Let simmer until the beans are mostly dry. Transfer to a bowl, mash the beans down, mix in the cheese, cover and refrigerate until needed. Pour the meat mixture into a food processor, pulse until blended, transfer to a bowl, cover and refrigerate. In a bowl, mix the masa flour and 1 3/4 cups of warm water. Mix the dough with fingers until it comes together. Knead until it forms a Play-Doh-like texture, adding more water if too dry or more flour if too wet. The texture should be consistent with the dough not sticking to the bowl. Cover the dough with a damp paper towel for 10 to 15 minutes. Break off 1/3 of a cup's worth of the dough. Gently roll the dough between your hands until you have a round ball. Lightly flatten the ball, palming from side to side. Dip fingers in a water dish to avoid cracks. Cup the dough to create a receptacle for the filling. Add a teaspoon of the meat filling. Add a teaspoon of the beans and cheese filling. Fold up the sides, oiling your hands. Press the dough into a disc 1/2 inch thick and 5 inches in diameter. Meanwhile, heat a cast iron skillet over medium heat. Add a small drop of vegetable oil. Spread evenly with a paper towel. Fry for 2 to 4 minutes per side until sunspots form. Repeat with the rest of the dough. Use the extra filling for leftovers with fresh dough. Keep the pupusas warm under a damp paper towel until serving. Plate the pupusas, dress with the curtido, dress with salsa roja, and serve warm. And how'd that all turn out? Well, again, it tasted great. I went back and had seconds. It was super delicious. That being said, in the execution, there was obviously a lot to be desired. I tried shredding that cabbage as thin as possible, but yet it did not really seem to be as thin as I've seen it be in reality. It was yet delicious. Therefore, the curtido, I'm gonna give 4 out of 5 globes. Being that it tasted really great, even though I didn't do it just the right way, I probably should have. The salsa roja was also delicious. I had problems with timing and temperature in terms of what was on the plate, but it tasted good. It had a really nice kick of spice. I'm gonna give the salsa roja 4 out of 5 globes. And finally, the pupusas revueltas. Thankfully, this time I realized that the meat and the beans and cheese were supposed to go into the same pupusa. Again, I was stupid last time. And obviously, I have not mastered the technique of getting everything in without it spreading outside and getting the sunspots right. Yet, it tasted really great. I'm gonna give the pupusas revueltas 4 out of 5 globes based on the recipe. As I said, it probably takes a whole lot of trial and error to get that just right. So that does it for El Salvador. Remember, if you'd like to see our streams live when they happen every Tuesday night, be sure to follow us on Periscope and Busker and Facebook Live. Like and subscribe to be advised when these videos are posted every Wednesday night. If you have any thoughtful feelings, helpful suggestions about the food of El Salvador or any of our future nations, be sure to sound off in the comments. Links to the original recipes can be found in the About section. And tune in next week when we head back to Africa for the food of a very little known country, the food of Equatorial Guinea. Tune in, should be good. Thanks for watching and happy eating!